Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Can-Am Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. Tonight we arrive at the short layout of Lodrina for Round 5, the penultimate stop of this 6-round championship. And with the season rapidly running out of road, the pressure has never been higher. In GT3, Nikita remains on top, but Ben Grabo is closed to within just 14 points after taking victory last time out at Imola. Ian Arnold sits only 24 points behind the lead, and with the championship's single drop round now firmly in play, the standings are far more volatile than they may appear. Nikita already throwing out his second-place finish, giving his challengers a real opportunity to make up ground tonight. In GT4, it's even tighter, Dill Destroyer leading Joe Dirt by just 13 points, with Spiky Cactus and Pingu still lurking close behind. And just like the GT3, the drop round could be crucial. Another good finish may not be enough anymore. These drivers still need results that improve what's already on the board. Tonight, they face the tight confines of the Lodrina Short Circuit, where a compact lap and 2 classes of traffic promise to be very little breathing room for just 90 minutes of racing. Patience will matter, but with this season finale only remaining after tonight, nobody can afford to be too patient. 2 classes, 2 championship leaders under pressure, and 1 final opportunity to position themselves before the finale. Welcome to Lodrina. Round 5 of the CAS Summer Endurance Series starts now. I am your host. You can call me Ryan Cooper, you can call me Les, and welcome, ladies and gents, boys and girls, to another brilliant evening of racing. So glad to be here. So glad to be with a little bit of a deep bounce there out of this track. So glad to be back with the boys at CAS, boys and girls at CAS. Such a great group of guys and gals on track tonight. Currently watching your championship leader in GT4. Handles a little bit of oversteer in that AMG GT4. Jump back to your overall championship leader, Nikita. Mercedes really seems to have these championships on lock. Welcome to the stream, Christopher. Says clap 2. I don't know if that's clap clap, or if that's some mumbo-jumbo that I'm not familiar with, because I'm an old man, apparently. But, so excited to be back behind the mic for this group. Been having a lot of fun doing the commentary side of things. Definitely mumbo-jumbo. But Nikita, strangely enough, not finding himself at the top of the timing stand just yet. Now, once again, I cannot emphasize enough, free practice. Nobody's handing out trophies here. But about a half a second off. Looking at the time Something Fierce laid down compared to everybody else, my guess is that Nikita just has not found his fastest time yet. And he does look like he is tracking way ahead. Oh, but there's a car off and in the grass. I believe that was... I am unsure. Red Nose, perhaps? Nope, Red Nose is... Okay, it might have been Red Nose. I thought Red Nose was in the McLaren. Nikita now jumped to the top of the stand with an 7.591, and Something Fierce answering with a 7.420. Something Fierce, if you all recall, had a great run going last week until late in the race. Unfortunately, catching himself with some damage cost him a lot of track position and offered Ben Grabo the win. Ian Arnold looking to hopefully recover. That's not the right car. Says he's driving a Corvette. It's supposed to be. Okay. Maybe that was... He is in the garage, so maybe that's just... Okay, that was confusing. Something fierce. Really seeming to find some pace here in Lodrina. This is a circuit I've personally never driven, actually never seen it. The only difference between this and the standard circuit is if you look over here at this map, we just don't have this big, fat, hairpin chicane. Something Fierce really doing a great job of finding some late season pace and putting himself in some advantageous positions. And oh, it just overdrives it a little bit into that second to final corner, I think. That is the second to final corner. Might be the beginning of the lap. I'm not sure. Finding the limits, that's what practice is for with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Nikita continues to try to find the limits. Best time of a 7-second 5.91. Doesn't look like any time gained across the line for the championship leader. Once again, not handing out trophies for free practice, but always interesting to see what might happen in qualifying or in the race. Tonight we have got 7 GT4s and 10 GT3s on the field. Nikita doing everything he can to try to step up the pace. Ben Grabo now jumping ahead of the championship leader with an 07.334. What does the championship leader have today? There it is. Cracks into the 106s with an 106.946. Now leaving it to Ben Grabo, the next in the top 3 on track, to try and best that time. He is getting quick. 2/10 up right now. If he can continue to find a couple more thousandths of a second, or hundredths of a second, I apologize, he might just be able to jump to the top of the board. Championship fight in GT3 now very interesting. And Ben must have lost all the time he gained because he went to the box after he crossed the line. Nikita now stuck in GT4 traffic. Folks, Spectre is leading free practice in GT4, trailed by 0.3. Trailing by 0.3 is Joe Dirt in the number 9 Steam Machine Camaro. And Dill Destroyer, who's jumped into pit lane and has returned to the garage. And around goes Joe Dirt. These three, if you all remember last week, embroiled in quite the heat of a competition. And it will be very interesting to see what these boys have in for us this evening. Something Fierce staying at a 107.122. Flavio Barros jumping up to an 07.141, bumping Ben Grabo down to P4 in free practice. Ian Arnold down to P6. That's another championship fight we want to watch. So glad to be back with everyone tonight. It's going to be a good race, I think, as we prepare to get into into qualifying. I believe we have a 5-minute qualifying window, unless that rule has changed. It's a relatively short lap, so I imagine 5 minutes is probably going to be what's there. Yep, 5 minutes for qualifying tonight. And we will observe your championship leader first. as he gets out on track. Actually, looks like Ben Grabo is the first driver to try and lay down a lap. So we will watch the leader last round out, Ben Grabo, on his outlap. Folks, the championship is getting interesting. The drop round came into effect after the last round. So as we approach the final two races, that drop round is going to be key in determining this championship. Just tuning in, welcome. This is Can-Am SimSport Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. You're currently watching Ben Grabo. Might have the biggest opportunity of the grid in GT3 tonight, just 14 points out of the championship lead. Coming off a victory at Imola. Because he's replacing a relatively low drop score, a big result tonight could produce a massive swing in the championship. If he qualifies well, he can even cut down that championship deficit. The interesting part, though, folks, is this drop round makes things super strange for drivers such as your championship leader, Nikita. When you're super consistent and your worst finish is a P2, your loss of points with that drop round is significant. Currently, his drop round is a 61-point second place result. When your throwaway race is second place, you've had an incredible season. But that's also what makes tonight interesting for your championship leader. He doesn't have the same opportunity to gain points that some of these drivers chasing him do. He needs a huge result to improve the championship score. He'd like to qualify pole. That is bonus points. He'd like to win the race. That is big points. He needs a good result, and right now has not posted a clean time yet. I'm sorry, this is your championship leader. I apologize. I must have clicked away to the wrong guy. But while we watch your championship leader get ready to post his time, and it will be a 106.6, absolute blistering pace for Nikita. Don't think he's concerned about missing out on the qualifying bonus points. That is a commanding pole position. I'd like to jump back to Ian Arnold, who had an initial great round last round, and unfortunately kind of met some incident and cost him a lot of time on track. Currently sitting 10 points behind Ben Grabo. He's quietly kept himself in the championship all season. Hasn't won, but he's consistently been right there around the podium. Could he get a victory tonight to seal the deal and close that championship gap down on Ben Grabo? 24 points behind the championship leader is pretty steep with 2 rounds left to go, but he definitely has a shot at P2 in this championship if he can find some pace. Currently sitting at a 107.481. His opponent in the championship is at a 107.018, so he's got to find about 4/10. That is going to be tricky, almost 5/10, honestly. Enough about the GT3, folks, though. Let's take a look at GT4 over here with Dill Destroyer. He's going to round out qualifying. His worst result through the 4 rounds is second place, similar to Nikita. He's won twice, finished second twice, and because of the drop round rule, one of those runner-up finishes doesn't count. Fantastic qualifying from Dylan. Could result in some championship buffer tonight. Joe Dirt, who's qualified ahead of Dill Destroyer. He's got a lot of room to pick up. His worst result is a P6 in the championship. He's dropping a 47-point result and has the potential, if he can finish better than 6th, to really gain some ground in the championship. Only 13 points behind your championship leader. Currently, as it stands, your top 3 in GT3 are Nikita, Ben Grabo, and Something Fierce. Red Nose and Ian Arnold round out the top 5. Flavio Barros, Vicnet, Soupy, and Chill Blast take you out to the end of GT3. And Crazy Canuck, who does not look like he posted a great time. Spectre, Joe Dirt, and Dill Destroyer are your top 3 in the GT4, followed by Tactical Nuclear Pingu, 2nd place Merchant, and Stir Haas. That brings you to the top 6. Kinetic Herb will round out the GT4 grid. And we are about to go racing here in about a minute and 45 seconds. Drivers will get one more opportunity to make last-second changes to the machine. We will get ready to go racing. Sorry, folks, for the silence. Just trying to get my ducks in a row. All right, folks, drivers are out and away on the formation lap. As they start to finally get their heads into the mindset, into race running. Field is rolling here at Lodrina. Just a few moments, we will go racing in round 5 of the Can-Am SimSport Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. The championship finale waiting on the other side of the evening. Qualifying's already added a wrinkle to both title fights. Currently on board with GT3 championship leader. Did exactly what he needed to do, pole position, and 3 valuable bonus points. But alongside him is the man trying to take the championship away. Ben Grabo starting second, right where he wants to settle. Coming into tonight, just separated by 14 points, the 2 principal title contenders will lead this field of green side by side. Something Fierce starting third, Red Nose 58 fourth, and Ian Arnold, while still very much part of this championship, has a little bit of work to do from 5th place. Nikita begins to bring the field around into the front straight. They're going to begin gridding up momentarily. And Nikita is away and gone, and the GT3s are away. Already, Ben Grabo jumping to the lead of the field, and Nikita getting hosed on the start, falling all the way down to P5, and now getting sent into oblivion. Is that a disconnect from your championship leader? It just might be. It is not, but it looked like it might have been a steering input disconnect, and now Ben Grabo leads Something Fierce by half a second and is taking every bit of advantage as he can. And back to the GT4 field, Spectre leads the field from the Camaro, but now getting pressure from Joe Dirt behind in the number 9 Camaro for Steam. Second place Merchant with a brilliant start, jumping from, I believe, P6 all the way up to P4, and was fighting for, he was in third briefly there, and has now been passed by Dill Destroyer, your championship leader in the GT4 field, and he still works his way back around on the outside, down the hill, and now that is P3 to second place Merchant. As he begins to chase down the Chevys in the front, Ben Grabo continuing to open his lead on the rest of the field, and Nikita, massive damage on the championship leader's number 70 machine, and he will dive into pit lane for repairs. Ben Grabo will continue to lead the field away, and Spectre continues to lead the GT4 field. What a massive start to this event so far. Who would have predicted? And there's P7. Red Nose is off and into the chicane. Looks like he is struggling to get the car moving again. Big incident for Spectre, or for Red Nose, I apologize. And now Spectre 01 continues to lead the GT4s. And as every week has seemed to create, the GT4s have been an absolute cage fight. And there goes Red Nose 58 from the grid. That is a retirement in the GT4 category, or GT3 category, I apologize. What an effort from Spectre and Joe Dirt, really just staying right there. So we ride on board now with Joe Dirt, trying to chase down the pole sitter, Spectre. What a great fight we've got so far. The GT4 field starting to spread out just a little bit. Dill Destroyer getting passed by Tactical Nuclear Pingu and returning the favor. Taking the position back, still trying to chase down the AMG ahead of him to reclaim P4. Second place Merchant doing a great job on the race start to gain some track position. It looks like we might have a fight going on between Ian Arnold and Chill Blast. Chevy against Mercedes. It seems to be the battle in both categories. Camaros lead the AMGs in GT4, and it seems like the AMG is leading the Corvette in GT3. Ian Arnold doing everything he can to stay on the back bumper of that number 75 AMG GT3 machine. Is it going to be enough? Can he lay down the pressure and get it done? Fight in GT4 still rages on. We now right on board with Ian Arnold. Currently in the GT3 field, Ian holds the fastest Sector 2 time with a 24:9:38. Nikita best in Sector 3, and Something Fierce best in Sector 1. Is now Ben Grabo has allowed that gap to the car behind to slip down to sub 1 second category, or sub 1 second territory. Something Fierce trying to put the power down in the Beamer. Something Fierce really making it stick now because he is holding the best Sector 1 and Sector 2 time, and it is this lap that he has the best time. No improvement in Sector 3. Nikita now holds the fastest Sector 3 time, but Something Fierce is coming with a vengeance. Can he get it done on your championship leader? Or I'm sorry, not your championship leader, your race leader. These two still going at it. Battle for P4, I apologize, as now the move comes from Ian Arnold up on the inside. I'm sorry, the outside. He's not going to make it stick. Can he switch back on the hairpin and try to get the lead in and get the run into the final corner here? It's a very snug hairpin right here. It is tight and narrow. Loses a bit of the momentum as we come around. This is the final corner onto the main straight. Ian Arnold doing everything he can to get the best run. Hard on the brakes into the subtle chicane. Feel like calling that a chicane, but look at the deficit there between the race leader in the battle for fourth. Ben Grabo doing a great job of opening that gap up. Nikita working his way now through the GT4 field, and he's really starting to put a little bit of a hamper on this fight for the lead. Joe Dirt trying to use the GT3 championship leader as a bit of an aid to make it through. Unfortunately, did not work for him, but he does seem to have gained a little bit of ground on the pole sitter. Dill Destroyer still trying to chase down second place Merchant, who I believe qualified 6th and currently runs 3rd. Very late onto the brakes, and Merchant is around too much of the apex curb, and Merchant goes around. Dill Destroyer will claim P3, and Tactical Nuclear Pingu promoted to P4. Second place Merchant with a lot of ground to gain now. No damage done to that machine, but he's got a lot of work to do to find his way back forward, as now the race leaders in GT3 are working their way through the back of the field. That is champion or race leader Ben Grabo in the Aston Martin, working through the tail end of the GT4 field. Critically, folks, Nikita just found his way through GT4. Will he be able to stay on the lead lap? Currently 52 seconds back. The question is, how is he doing on fuel? We'll pull up the Speedo tab here. Whoops, I apologize. Currently, Ben Grabo sitting with 81 liters on board. Nikita with a massive fuel save could stretch this possibly to the end of the race on fuel. I don't know how much you use per lap, and I don't even know if it's feasible, considering he's only burned 1 lap of fuel. May not happen, but I'd be doing everything I could to save fuel and try to stretch this stint as long as I can, maybe gain some ground up front. Something Fierce must have had an incident as he's fallen back to P3, and Flavio Barros up to P2, now trying to chase down Ben Grabo, who is driving away from the competition. Chill Blast and Ian Arnold still embroiled in a heated battle for P4. The pressure is on from Ian behind. It's number 75 Sun Energy Machine. Tries to work his way around the GT4, using them as a pick. And that got him a little bit of ground. Great job getting around into the straight. But now, Ian will have a run through the chicane, trying to stick his nose on the wide entry. Through turn 2 and up the hill, no problem so far with a great run up the hill. A little bit of a loss of distance there in the bottom. What a fight we've got for P4 right now in the GT3 grid. Nikita working his gap down, 52 seconds initially. Now down to 51.2. The fight has spread out just a little bit. Joe Dirt losing ground, or gaining ground, I'm sorry, on Spectre, who has lost ground. I don't know how I missed that, but Spectre has lost the lead to Joe Dirt and has dropped close to the clutches of Dill Destroyer. That's him 2 cars behind there. You've got Something Fierce coming up behind him, and behind Fierce is your GT4 championship leader in Dill Destroyer. Spectre just trying to make the GT3 traffic's life easy and get them through as quick as possible. Don't want to get stuck fighting them longer than you have to. Bit of an incident had to have happened on that round or that lap. 6 seconds off fastest lap. And everybody's kind of filtered out. I'll take another look here at your championship leader. I'm listening to the inputs here. A little bit of a fuel save going on. I don't know if it's a lot. Let's see right here. No, that seemed pretty. Deep on the brakes. Ian Arnold continues to chase Chill Blast, but it looks like Flavio Barros has had an incident causing him to fall back behind this fight. And now on the inside, Ian Arnold in the number 3 Corvette makes the move and gets it done on on Chill Blast. Then number 75, AMG, is not done yet. He's trying to answer, trying to keep his nose on the inside, but I don't think he's going to get it done. And now that V8 putting the power down in the Corvette. Thundering down the front straight and into turn 1. Ian Arnold promoted to P3. With Chill Blast now facing the pressure behind once again, trying to find himself the ability to attack while also taking pressure from the Audi behind him. Right on board with Flavio Barros. Trying to find the opportunity to get around for P4. Nice run out of the corner from the Audi. These three are very close right now. I believe the pace of that AMG and the C8 are very close. But the two of them got a much better run out of the final corner. As now the fight spreads out just a little bit through the grid there, and Crazy Canuck is off. Soupy maintains P6. That was a fight that was heating up. And Crazy Canuck is off track and will work his way into pit lane. Folks, Ben Grabo doing everything he needs to do right now to take this championship lead down as far as he can. Nikita up to P7 now with Canuck in the garage and Red Nose retired. Flavio still trying to find his way around the field. Dill Destroyer has fallen down to P4 back in the GT4 category, and a big moment there almost caused an incident between the two fighting for P4 in the GT3s. Not a great run off that corner. It's going to open the door for Chill Blast to expand the lead just a little bit over P5. What a fight. What a drive. Oh, I think I just saw an incident. Where's your race? Is that Sturhaus? Sturhaus off in the grass. Big damage on the front of that Audi in GT4. Merchant potentially involved in some incidents, causing damage to the front of that machine. Nikita shaving the lead down to 46 seconds behind Ben Grabo, making strides to try and close the gap and recover as much as he can. Eight seconds behind the next car ahead. As Sturhaus trying to limp around to pit lane. Pingu leading the GT4 Championship leader by about half a second here and there. Doing a good job keeping some momentum, and an unfortunate absence from the grid tonight would be Spiky Cactus, who's had some pretty decent results these last few rounds, finding some good consistency. As Nikita now mired in the slower class traffic. Continuing to trim back the gap. Little by little. In 20 laps, folks, he's taken 10 seconds off of his lap. Effectively, we'll call it 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, he has taken 10 seconds off of his deficit to the race leader. By that logic, 20 more seconds, or I'm sorry, 20 more minutes will be at, 47 minutes? He'll be at 33 seconds. At 27 minutes, he'll be at 23 seconds. At 7 minutes, he'll be at 13 seconds. I don't know if he can do it, but that would put him firmly in contention for a top 5 finish tonight, provided everybody ahead of him doesn't have an incident. If any of those guys have an incident, the job gets done very easy. It seems that Flavio Barros has gotten around Chill Blast and is now chasing down P3. Oh, and GT4 traffic really stirring up some chaos for the faster class here. That is Sturhaus getting absolutely bombarded by GT3 cars. And now the fight for third is becoming ever so close to a three-way battle, and they're closing the gap on Something Fierce as well. Something Fierce seems to be falling off the pace. Not sure if it's by decision. Doing a good job so far. Driving a clean race. Dill Destroyer and Pingu. This doesn't seem to be right. I don't think that gap is correct. Nikita has found his way around Soupy. Can he make it stick? He does. That's class leader Joe Dirt. They've just gone around. Nikita on the warpath. A lot of ground to make up. But if anybody can do it, it's Nikita. Folks, remember, if he finishes worse than P2 tonight, this round won't count. Keep that in mind. If he finishes worse than P2, he will pick up a second place finish, essentially. And this round will not count. So if I'm Nikita, I might just be going for broke. Whatever the heck it takes to get across the line as close to the front of the field as possible. To maintain the championship. And he continues to try and work down your race leaders. The GT3 field is kind of strung out a little bit, as has the GT4 field. Battle for third here in the GT3s is kind of fizzled out. Race leader Ben Grabo, overall and class leader in the GT3, going around. Dill Destroyer, championship leader of GT4s. Sorry, folks. Battle now heating up. Back here for P3, and it looks like Ian Arnold has left the door open for Flavio Barros on the outside. He doesn't get it done. A little bit of a shoulder check from the Corvette is going to keep the Audi at bay, but Flavio Barros not done yet. Down the front straight, he's side by side. I love that camera angle because it shows absolutely nothing. But he does, he gets it done, and Ian Arnold now back down to P4 and hoping to answer with a vengeance. Can he get it done? That's a great run, but it doesn't look like it's enough. And Flavio Barros back up to P3. Ian Arnold trailing just behind in P4 as we start to catch some lap traffic. And we cross over the 1 hour mark. All right, folks, take a bit of a vocal break here. Well, in a big incident, hold up, we're not going to go to break. Big incident indeed. Who is that? That is Flavio Barros on screen. Absolute massive incident. And I don't believe he can get that car righted. That is race over for Flavio Barros. And Not sure if we're going to have a safety car period or not. I don't know if safety cars are enabled in this championship. The car is out there, but I don't see it moving. What a crash. Flavio Barros is at least on 4 wheels again. And we'll work on limping his way back to the... What a disappointment. Forget about the commercial break. We are watching a major incident unfold. And into pit lane goes Flavio Barros, 3rd to 7th. And Nikita has found his way back into the top 5. We managed to avoid the safety car. Flavio in pit lane for repairs. Very unfortunate. The driver of the R8. All right, folks. Now that that incident is sorted, I am probably going to work my way to a bit of a brief vocal break. Now we're going to take a break. An opportunity to step aside here at Lodrina. And what an eventful opening third of this race it has been. Ben Grabo continues to lead the GT3, trailing way behind Something Fierce and Ian Arnold, now fighting for the remaining podium positions. Championship leader Nikita has recovered to 5th after the massive incident at the beginning of the race. But Ben Grabo's leading the race. The championship implications continue to grow. And after that spectacular rollover, CB has fallen back to 8th as he tries to recover from the extraordinary moment in GT4. Joe Dirt remains out front and ahead of Spectre. Pingu, the championship leader, Dill Destroyer. As they run, Joe continues to put the pressure on that 13-point championship deficit. I realize I started the music too early. Or too late, I'm sorry. We've had crashes, championship drama, and plenty of action. We still have nearly half an hour to go. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to rest my voice. We're going to come right back here to Lodrina. You're watching the Can-Am SimSport Summer Endurance Series. This is round 5 at Lodrina, presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Lodrina and round 5 of the Can-Am SimSport Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. Ben Grabo leads the GT3s, and with the championship leader Nikita recovering to 5th after a massive early incident, we could be watching a major swing in the title fight. Ian Arnold, another championship contender, currently running 3rd. But Flavio Barros continues and has returned to the track after the spectacular rollover incident just before the break. In GT4, Joe Dirt continues to lead the way with the championship leader Dill Destroyer mired back and forth. Another title fight beginning to tighten as we speak. Just over 50 minutes to go. Plenty left to play out. Still have pit cycles to see. Welcome back to Lodrina. Welcome back to Can-Am SimSport. Welcome back to the action. I'm your host, Les Paul Obsession. You call me Ryan Cooper. This is the LPO Network. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed the show so far. And boy, what a show it has been. A lot of championship storylines coming into effect today. And the championship story is very interesting. Ben Grabo with honestly, everything he needed to do tonight except qualifying on the pole is exactly what he needed. Points as they run right now, he would close his championship deficit down to 11 points. You might be thinking, well, he came into this round with only 14-point deficit. Why is he only losing 3 rounds? Well, folks, Nikita is a monster. When his worst round coming into this weekend is a P2, anything less than P2 gets dropped, and right now he is P5. So his previous 61-point score from Imola now returns to the board, effectively making tonight a P2 with pole position. Ben's provisional win, if he continues as is, gives him 64 points. So he cuts that lead down to 11 from 14. So championship implications still at large. If Nikita has another incident next week, Ben's right there to pounce. GT4, the live championship is even closer. Joe Dirt, points as they run, puts him at 9 points shy of championship leader Dill Destroyer, who has had some very big damage. And I apologize, we seem to have missed that. Might have happened on the break. But Dylan, with a lot of damage and mired further back in the GT4 field, is going to hurt his championship lead, cutting off 4 points. We could be heading into the season finale with both championships separated by just barely double digits, and in the case of GT4, less points. But man, despite everything that has gone on tonight, all the drama, all the incident, all the chaos, Nikita is making the drop round the perfect safety net. As they run, Ben Grabo is closing the gap, but only by 3 points. That right there is what we call a good points day in the motorsport world. Nikita doing everything he can to keep that championship fight alive. And this is what he needed to do, considering all of the drama that he's had so far. But now Ben Grabo absolutely can't make a mistake. Has to stay on his toes and stay consistent. And folks, he will be pitting shortly. ish. We'll do how's about this? We'll ride on board your championship or your race leader, championship runner-up as it stands. And he crosses the line with 38.2 liters on board. Let's see where he ends this lap. Seconds to the good over Ian Arnold and Something Fierce, who are very close on track. We will return to this battle here after the LPO Network fuel calculation. Like that, just started it. All it is me doing fast math on my calculator and seeing how we stand on fuel. Currently shows that we estimate 41 laps remain in this race. We're going to see what happens when we cross the line, because it says 41.1 on my telemetry screen over here. I think it's going to be at the line 41 laps. We'll call it 42 for the sake of safety. Actually, we'll call it 41. We'll call it 41. Across the line, he's used 1.6 liters in that lap. So he would need 65, 66 liters to make it to the end. Nikita will need to pit for fuel as well. Thought maybe he could be saving fuel, but it doesn't seem that he is. Don't necessarily know that would have gained him much, but always interesting to follow is now the fight for the 2 spots on the podium. The last 2 spots on the podium continues to heat up. Ben Grabo in the BMW GT3 M4. Taking some pressure now from Ian Arnold in the Corvette behind. I'm sorry, not the Mustang. Corvette. Really doing what he can to try and apply the pressure. And we've got second place Merchant off in the sand behind. And he goes straight to pit lane. Probably a good strategy call there from Merchant. Battle is close. Looks to the outside, doesn't think he can get it done. Aborts the attack and tries to set something up for a later approach. He continues to chase. But I don't know if he's got it in him. Soupy is in for what I presume to be a scheduled stop on fuel and tires. Potentially both. Probably definitely fuel. Looks like fuel for sure. Ian Arnold really trying to make something work for P2. But the M4 GT3 is just really strong around this track. The Corvette has such a great run on the straights. Just don't know if he's going to be able to get there. Folks, Nikita is up to P4. 34 seconds behind Ben Grabo. Now Flavio Barros trying to recover from the rollover incident. Massive props, by the way, for getting that car righted on all four wheels and repaired. Is now he's trying to attack Crazy Canuck for P6, and he's got the floating car mod. So does Crazy Canuck. The back two drivers in GT3, or two of the back fielders, both floating around. We gotta love AMS2 sometimes for its beautiful visual glitches here as we see the hoverboard attachments on these cars. Can he get something done on the AMG ahead? I don't think he needs to do much, and we might have a fight on our hands unfolding at the front of this field once again. These two not letting each other get away. Ian Arnold with the Corvette really doing a good job keeping that gap maintained to something fierce, not letting him stretch his legs just too far. Just doesn't seem to be enough. Flavio Barros has gotten around Crazy Canuck. You just gather he's trying to evaluate the situation, figure out where he can get around. There's more GT4 traffic ahead, could play into the hands of Ian Arnold. But Spectre doing a good job letting the GT3s through. Ian trying to drop into the slipstream, but it's doing the opposite of what he'd like it to. That opened the gap immensely to something fierce up ahead. Take a look here at race leader Ben Grabo. Currently leading the way with a 12.3 second lead over P2. Great drive tonight from Ben Grabo. Nikita up to P4. Folks, I'd like to circle back to lap 1, turn 1 for Nikita. Looked like a hardware failure, I'm not sure, because it just didn't look like he was trying to turn. But one of the interesting things about his night tonight is visually, it looked disastrous when he had the incident. However, because of the drop round, he's pretty well insulated from any sort of loss of points, okay? If it remains as is, his worst result tonight simply becomes a score he tosses in the rubbish bin. The trash bin, the special filing cabinet for corporate paperwork, it turns to garbage as Ben Grabo now diving to pit race leader. Ben Grabo in pit lane for his scheduled stop. Cycles out to P4 behind Nikita, and interestingly enough, Delta to Something Fierce is 12 or 22 seconds. So we're going to assume about 34 seconds in pit lane. I apologize. I was blabbering about this man right here, Nikita. Ben, though, tonight isn't really about beating Nikita by 1 or 2 positions. With his drop round cushion, Ben needs maximum points. Maximum points. If he can convert this pit cycle back to a race lead, he might be able to bring the fight to Nikita. Okay? I'm just trying to fill some air here because the battles on track have sort of simmered out. I think we're going to see some action pick up as the pit cycles start to play out. Something Fierce now leading the field. But it's definitely worth watching because Ben's been very strong this evening. Nikita also been very strong. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but he can finish any worse than second. He could finish second or worse, and this would just match his drop round. So definitely a big deal. Ben's he's got to maximize tonight. It looks like Ian Arnold is in pit lane for his scheduled stop. He begins to get a little lower on fuel. He is in the box for regular service in the Corvette. Something Fierce continues to lead the grid, and Nikita will come around now and take P2 provisionally and temporarily. He will be able to go longer on this tank, but he will not be able to finish this race out on the fuel he has on board, I don't think. And on the subject of Mr. Ian here, he's been very quiet. I mean, I shouldn't say he's been quiet. He's been battling all night. But in terms of the championship, he's quietly kind of hung right around. No wins, but he keeps getting himself in the position to win. Something happens to either of the two guys in the championship ahead of him. He is close, and suddenly he walks into the finale with a much tighter deficit on Ben ahead of him in the championship. You know, I don't know that a championship win is in the cards for Ian Arnold. It would take massive misfortune from Nikita for something of that, nature to happen. It's possible, mathematically speaking, it's still possible for him to win this championship, but it's going to take a lot of misfortune from Nikita. He's going to need another bad result next week. And look, folks, he's running P2 now, obviously not necessarily exactly on merit, right? He was running P4 before the pit cycles began, so he just hasn't stopped. But this is a driver that can get it done. And if he can recover his worst result to a P4 after a massive incident in the beginning of the race, damage, a slow lap one, limping it back to the pit lane, he's going to be hard to beat, folks. He is going to be hard to beat. And he's putting on a hell of a show tonight in the Kansan Performance number 70 AMG GT3. Now, we've talked enough about the GT3, boys. Let's take a look at GT4. We just watched our championship leader go around Joe Dirt. He's doing a great job just maintaining that lead and doing everything he needs to do to drive it smooth and steady and careful. Plenty of fuel on board this number 9 machine. And what's important to note, too, he has got a nice buffer to P2. Spectre behind is, 11, 12 seconds or so back. So he has got a nice gap as a buffer. And Pingu trying to chase down Spectre. And Spectre qualified on the pole he hasn't necessarily been a name we've mentioned as a race winner every single week. But whenever he shows up, it seems that he finds his way to the front, and he has qualified well. He's raced well. He's been right there a lot of the times. A couple incidents this evening have cost him a lot of time. But all it takes is one mistake from Joe Dirt. One big mistake from your race leader, and Spector's right back up at the front of the field. What about this guy, man? Dill Destroyer fighting some damage right now. He's had a great season coming into tonight, not having finished worse than second. Because of that and the drop round, it's effectively, right, this is a 6-round championship. Only the top 5 best rounds count. Okay, so having never finished worse than second, and the best 5 results are the ones that count, he is throwing away a runner-up finish, or if he continues as he runs, P4. Tonight becomes his drop round. So once again, Joe Dirt doing everything he needs to right now, staying in the lead, staying calm and collected. It is exactly what he needs to do, and he needs to keep it up. And folks, while the track is a little quiet, is now Nikita in pit lane for his regular service. Ben Grabo returns to the provisional lead on strategy. Nikita was 4th on track before pit cycles began. Let's see where he blends out. Is now Ian Arnold passing him. Nikita back out on track. And he has really shrank that gap to Ben Grabo down to about 30 seconds. Little more than 30 seconds, I think. But while it is a little quiet, we're going to take a look at it. Oh, and that is our race leader now diving into pit lane. Something fierce. And we will look to see Ben Grabo take the lead back. Something Fierce was battling with Ian Arnold. Ian pit earlier, overcut. Something Fierce, Ian undercut. Something Fierce overcut. And we're going to watch the blend here. Something Fierce is already moving again and looks to have expanded his sub-1 second gap on Ian Arnold to a massive lead over P3. 6 seconds gained in that pit cycle for Something Fierce. Great work and great strategy call. Now he's got to get his tires up to temp, so he will be facing some pressure from behind initially, but I'd say by the end of this lap, halfway through the next, his tires should be up to temp and he should be cruising in second place. But one thing that the timing and scoring and all that other stuff does not show is just how mentally exhausting one of these races can become. On a lap this short, the GT3 drivers are constantly catching GT4 traffic. You have to figure out and calculate where you're going to arrive, whether you're going to make the move now or if you're going to wait. You've got the decision. You have to make these decisions over and over and over. And this is not a 20-minute race. This is not a 40-minute race. This isn't even an hour race, folks. This is an hour and a half, 90 minutes. It is truly exhausting. And on the flip side of that, folks, the GT4 drivers, they're fighting their own fights now. Admittedly, right now it's kind of simmered out a little bit, but they have their own fights to watch. They have their own championship implications to take care of, and they're simultaneously in the mirrors going, okay, is there a faster class car coming? Is there a faster car coming? Is there a faster car coming? Okay, now I've got to get him by. Can I use him to get around the guy in front of me? It is constantly watching for faster traffic. So it's very important. It's very difficult. It is very mentally exhausting. It's called the Endurance Series for a reason. An hour and a half may not seem like a long time, but man, when you're racing, your heart rate is elevated, your adrenaline is pumping, you are just go, 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 go. And it's easy to look at a quiet portion of an endurance race and think, nothing's going on. But sometimes that's where these races get won. Sometimes that's how championships are decided. Sometimes that's how races are decided. They are managing tires, monitoring fuel, calculating traffic. And folks, this is a guy behind a computer screen. This isn't like a professional motorsports driver who has the luxury of a pit crew and a strategist and an engineer and all this other stuff. No. All of these drivers are driver, strategist, engineer, everything. They are a jack of all trades. They have to do all of that stuff. Nobody wants to make a mistake that costs them a race. So they have to constantly go, okay, do I have enough fuel? How much fuel am I using? Can I stretch it? Do I need to save fuel? Can I just go full bore? Well, if I go full bore, then I'm going to have too much fuel on board. It's a constant balancing act. And with the championship finale next, nobody can just cruise to the finish of the race either. I mean, Nikita effectively could just cruise tonight because his worst finish is a P2. So, but he's trying to get to the front of the field. And folks, with 25 seconds left in this race, or 25 minutes left in this race, he has cut that deficit from 58 seconds down to 25. I don't know if he can make it back to the front of the field, but he is putting himself in a position to capitalize on any potential mistakes that might happen in the top three. And, I mean, a recovery to P4 from last, almost a lap down. I mean, 30 minutes ago, we were talking about how the GT3 traffic was working its way through the GT4s, and just 8 seconds up the road was Nikita, almost a lap down. Now look at him. 24 seconds. 24 seconds back. And largely, the GT3s have cycled through the pit lane. So, if they just keep running as is, Ben Grabo expanding his lead to 15 seconds in the cycle over Something Fierce. Just trying to get myself set up. I'm going to take another vocal break here in just a minute because that was a lot of talking. Ben Grabo continuing to expand his lead again up to almost 16 seconds now. And Nikita trimming it back to 23 seconds. 23 seconds. I also have to pee really bad. So, things to keep in mind for sure. But, with that being said, folks, we are now inside the final 25 minutes here at Lodrina with the GT3 pit cycles now complete. The championship picture is becoming much clearer. Ben Grabo doing exactly what he needed to do tonight. Leads Something Fierce in Arnold, and championship leader Nikita who has fought his way from last to fourth after a huge incident on lap 1. GT4 still has one of the more strategic chapters to write. Joe Dirt leading Spectre. And Tactical Nuclear Pingu, Dill Destroyer currently rounding out your top 4, but with pit cycles fast approaching for these guys, those positions and potentially the championship picture are still subject to change. 22 minutes remain and the championship battles hang in the balance. Run the finish coming up. We'll step aside and be right back here at Lodrina. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Lodrina, where we are into the closing stage of Round 5 of the Can-Am SimSport Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. Ben Grabo continues to control the GT3 field ahead of Something Fierce, but behind them the fight is on. Championship leader at the break, Nikita recovered from the massive incident early in the race and is now battling Ian Arnold for the final spot on tonight's podium. Every position matters here, and third place would be another crucial step in limiting the championship damage for Nikita tonight. Meanwhile, back in GT4, pit cycles will be coming soon, I'd hope. Joe Dirt leading the way most of the race tonight. Spectre 01, Tactical Nuclear Pingu, and championship leader Dill Destroyer all trying to position themselves for the final run. The clock winds down, folks. 18 minutes left in the race. Championships are tightening up, and we are back for the run to the checkered flag in tonight's Can-Am SimSport Round 5. And Nikita on the bottom step of the podium now, getting around Ian Arnold with 18 minutes left to go. And charging forward at the break just 2.5 minutes ago, Nikita was 24 seconds back. I don't know if Ian Arnold slipped backwards, if he fell into the clutches of the championship leader, but Nikita powering forward and commanding the rest of the GT3 field, saying, hey guys, you know what? I may have fallen at the beginning of the race, but I'm not done yet. I've got a lot of fight left in me, and so he does. Nikita now in full quali mode, trying everything he can to close the distance on race leader Ben Grabo. Folks, all he has to do is finish second, and he's matched his worst result of the championship. And he has already gapped Ian Arnold by almost a second. Over a second now. He is full push, full billow, head down, elbows out. This AMG is chasing down. That is something fierce ahead. Folks, P2 in tonight's race is just ahead of him. 17 minutes left in this race. He shaved 3 seconds off of the leader just since I've been talking. At the rate he is going, he will be on the back bumper of Ben Grabo before the checkered flag falls tonight. 16 seconds now to the race leader. I don't know if Ben knows what's going on, if he's monitoring the gap. But Nikita's coming. I don't know if we're actually going to get stops in the GT4s. Dill Destroyer is going to have to stop for fuel, I presume. Kinetic Curve, no. Second place Merchant, no. Sturhaus, no. Joe Dirt Inspector, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And now these guys, though, are interfering with Nikita's charge to the front, but only barely, as he crosses the line. Another second gained on the race leader. Folks, we might have Nikita in for contention at the end of this race. I just want to remind everyone, okay, lap 1, Nikita was off. Got hosed on the start. I don't know if it was a control failure or an input, something or another, but he just went from first to sixth to last, okay? In pit lane for a long time. Repairing the car, gets back out, nearly loses a lap. I mean, we're talking 6 to 8 seconds away from losing the lap. And is now P3 fighting for P2 and continuing to chase the race leaders, and nobody can fight him. Something Fierce getting hung out wide, and there goes Nikita up to P2 with authority. The number 70 Kenzen Performance Machine now sets his sights firmly on the race leader, but Something Fierce isn't done yet. Tries to answer on the outside of the chicane. Can he get it done? He doesn't. Nikita now P2, and Something Fierce running out of time to re-attack. If he's going to respond, he needs to do it quick. GT4 traffic just ahead. That's second place Merchant. Can he capitalize? Down the hill and through the bottoms. Nikita around Merchant without an issue. Something Fierce trying to put the straight line speed of this BMW to work, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Nikita commanding this race from the drop of the green. We just didn't know it yet. Something Fierce trying not to let the championship leader go, but right now, folks, Nikita has matched his worst finish. Just under 14 minutes remain, and Nikita has closed the gap down to sub 16 seconds. We're going to be watching this battle unfold very close as Nikita now tries to chase down race leader Ben Grabo, who, if he is rocking the crew chief program, definitely has his ears full of the gap behind is now 15 seconds. And shortly it will be the gap behind is now 14 seconds. And I think we've just had a retirement. I'm not sure who just retired. It looks to be Chill Blast and Sturhaus both out. leaving 6 in the GT4 category and 7 in the GT3 category. And Nikita just over 15 seconds behind race leader Ben Grabo now probably needs to be turning up the heat shortly as he's dropped below 15 seconds with 12 minutes to go. Nikita's going to have to pick up the pace with slower traffic ahead. This is the battle, I believe, for 6th ahead of him. Supi and Flavio Barros. Flavio, after a massive incident early in the race, trying to put the attack on Soup in the number 77 Porsche. And championship leader Nikita aiming to put another lap on these two, but they're fighting for position. I don't know that they're really going to try to yield much. And just ahead of them is Crazy Canuck in P5. The fights are all over the grid, and now Nikita gets around Flavio Barros, separating these two and giving Supi a bit of a break. I'm sure he definitely appreciates a little bit of breathing room. Nikita now creeping on the sub 14 seconds. And he dips below 14 seconds on your race leader. But time is running out. Can he get it done? Can Ben Grabo continue to maintain composure under pressure? Holy cow, Nikita wastes no time getting around kinetic curb there in the Aston Martin GT4. And we have got a parking lot on the track right now. Everybody on top of everybody, all the lap traffic, everybody just getting absolutely piled on top of each other. Joe Dirt and Spectre still not having pit yet. And Dill Destroyer has returned to pit lane. Tactical Nuclear Pingu definitely seems to have prepared very well for tonight after the last round. He ran out of fuel on the last lap. Dill Destroyer, splash and go for him. Joe Dirt and Spectre now only separated by 4 seconds. But this is what we want to see right here. Can Nikita do it? Is now Crazy Canuck facing pressure from the two behind as Something Fierce finally gets around those two. And it's just insane the amount of traffic that we've got all in one place right now. And as Something Fierce goes around, he's getting a little too aggressive. And he is around. Ian Arnold now up to P3. And Fierce falls back. No damage on board the BMW, but he caught too much of that exit curb and spun. Nikita seems to have lost his steam. And that gap has settled right around 14 seconds. He hasn't been able to keep it, to keep the gap to diminish. Okay, I'm going to restart. He hasn't been able to maintain the diminishing gap. It's kind of settled right there in the high 13s, low 14s, and it has not gone any further. Joe Dirt almost certainly going to need to pit. Unless we are witnessing a very aggressive fuel save here. But depending on the length of this stop, folks, Pingu could be in the window. I don't know that Pingu's pit. He has not. Pingu has not stopped. Your top 3 in GT4 have not stopped. And I believe we've had another retirement. No, second place merchant just shuffled down. Not sure why it looked like he retired. Nikita, now sub 13s, hovering around the low 13s. I don't think he's got enough time But can he get the gap to the sub 10-second window by the end of this race? Currently, Nikita's predicted time 4/10 faster than Ben Grabo. Nikita on the hunt. Joe Dirt almost assuredly coming into box this lap, and Spectre is going to have to be massive in this stop. This right here, folks, is where this race can get decided. Joe Dirt and Spectre will both be diving into pit lane. This time, Joe Dirt stays out. This is a very bold call. With championship implications on the line, Joe Dirt is putting it all out there in hopes that he can make it. Folks, 2.4 liters left on board this Camaro. I don't know if he can make it through this lap on what he's got in the tank. He's going to be on fumes if he gets to the pit box at the end of this lap. We ride on board with Joe Dirt. Let's see if we listen. That was a short shift. Didn't really seem like a very big coast phase there. And Joe Dirt now to the box. And we watch Tactical Nuclear Pingu to see if he can take the lead of this race from Joe Dirt. Spectre just trailing 5 seconds behind. You see him just there behind, I believe that's Ian Arnold in the Corvette. Pingu, having learned his mistake from last week, said, I'm not underfilling this week. 16 liters left on board this machine. Pingu has the opportunity to maybe make a stab at the lead, but I don't think it's going to happen. Joe Dirt emerges. Just enough fuel put on board that Camaro to make it to the end of this race. But Pingu is not as close as the leaderboard says he is. Yeah, that's Joe Dirt up there. He's closed the gap a lot, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Spectre trying to recover some ground here. Nikita still rocking in P2. Hoping for a misstep from Ben Grabo, who has controlled this race from the drop of the green. Soupy running wide. Trying to chase down Flavio Barros up ahead. Ian Arnold with some damage behind, a lap or two ahead. Looks like he might be 2 laps ahead. Gets around with ease. Joe Dirt maintains the lead of this race by, I'm looking at my telemetry to see if it's giving me a little bit of a different metric, but it doesn't look like it is. Folks, a long time ago, myself, Nate, John, regulars to the channel will know these guys, we raced some GT4 races, and John went with the G4 or GT4 Ginetta G40. And I don't know if you all recall, but I was really annoyed by the fuel economy that car could get. Accelerated fuel, where we were running accelerated fuel where he could still outdrive us by laps, not even really trying to save fuels. Now Spectre tries to make a move on the inside of Pingu to the outside of the bend. Pingu moves to defend, and Spectre down on the inside, door to door through the hairpin and into another one. The inside line goes to Spectre, and he noses ahead, but Pingu maintains the position and goes wide. He will have the advantage onto the inside of this turn, but I think it might be advantage Spectre on the exit. No, we're still side by side, coming down the front straight. And Pingu falls back one more position and puts Spectre back to P2 overall in the GT4 category. The Camaro thunders ahead into P2. As it looks like some GT3 folks maybe miscalculated their fuel. Nikita now in the 10-second window on race leader Ben Grabo. Joe Dirt, 2.9 liters of fuel left. He is going to be slim margin across the line. Actually, I believe this will be the checkered flag. I don't think we do it. I don't think we do a timer +1. I think this is for the final time. Ben Grabo down the back straight. Can he get it done? Look at that fuel number, folks. 3.4. He just filled what he needed to do to get across the line. And that will be the race over. Ben Grabo is your victor. Nikita, around the final corner, comes home P2 after a massive incident early on, and Ian Arnold through the final complex of corners here. And No, I'm sorry. Never mind. Ignore me. Ian Arnold down the front straight and moves to cross the line in P3. That takes you to the top 3 of your GT3 category. Joe Dirt will be shaking and baking the tank, trying to make sure he's got enough fuel on board. Spectre just behind, hoping for a misfortune, but I don't think it's going to happen. Joe Dirt will take the victory in the GT4 category. The number 9 Steam Machine Camaro brings home the win in GT4. Camaro's top 2, and the Ginetta GT4 in the top 3. What a race we had this evening, folks. Absolute stellar show from everyone involved. I just, everything you didn't think was going to happen, happened. The championship got wild there. And let's just, massive props to Nikita. Massive props to Nikita for the comeback drive. I mean, just huge. Huge. Trying to get my ducks in a row for the outro here. Folks, what a race. What a race. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. This was loads of fun. A great drive indeed from everybody in the session. Congratulations to everyone. But unfortunately, folks, you know what time it is. That will do it from Lodrina, and after 90 minutes of racing, we leave round 5 with both championship fights very much alive, heading into the finish. GT3, Ben Grabo completes a huge night with the victory, his second consecutive win after taking the top step of the podium last time out at Imola. But what a recovery from Nikita after the massive lap 1 incident early in the race. Championship leader fights his way all the way back to second place, with Ian Arnold taking the final step on the podium in third. Something Fierce coming home fourth, and Flavio Barros managed to recover to fifth after quite literally ending up on his roof earlier in the evening. And when we account for qualifying points in the drop round, Nikita should leave Lodrina with 254 championship points and Ben Grabo with 243. So despite everything that happened tonight, Nikita carries an unofficial 11-point advantage into the championship finale, and Ian Arnold remaining alive and well with 223 points. Back in the GT4, Joe Dirt delivers exactly the performance he needed. Victory here at Lodrina, ahead of Spectre 01 and Tactical Nuclear Pingu, championship leader Dill Destroyer finishing fourth. But once again, the drop round cushions the blow for Dylan. By our unofficial calculations, Dylan leaves tonight with 251 points, and Joe Dirt with 242 points, a championship margin of just 9 points. Spectre moves on with 216 points, and Pingu right behind with 214 points. After 5 rounds, it all comes down to one. 11 points separate the top 2 next week in GT3, and 9 points separate the top 2 in GT4. Next time out, there will be nowhere left to recover and no tomorrow left in the championship. For everybody here at Can-Am SimSport, thank you for joining us for Round 5 of the Summer Endurance Series presented by Wasabi and Ginger Dental Products. Congratulations to race winners, Ben Grabo and Joe Dirt, for your class wins. We look forward to seeing you at the championship finale next week, and let me tell you where that's going to be. Championship finale will be at... it won't be next week. I look forward to seeing you at the championship finale in 2 weeks as we take on the mighty Bathurst in what is sure to be a true testament of patience, strategy, and willpower. Folks, thank you so much on behalf of everybody at CAS. I appreciate you tuning in and watching tonight's race. I'd like to thank everybody at CAS once again for giving me the privilege of watching their races and throwing my voice at them. But for tonight, this is Les, the LPO Network, Ryan Cooper, whatever you'd like to call me, signing off. Have a great night, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the championship finale of the Summer Endurance Series. Take care, everybody, and good night.